We're going to start singing at the beginning of this. We know we're live, folks.
That's right. Where's the music?
We got to, because we have to, I have to wait until these clown shows. Jeez. What is happening, folks? I am Mike Murphy, a.k.a. Barracuda. Welcome to Jig Squad. The fantastic gentleman to the side of me, the minister of culture, Mr. Epic Eric.
What's good?
Here we are, Jig Squad, Thursday night Jig Talk. You ready, buddy?
I'm ready to go, man. We got some 9K lures in the house.
9K Elite lures. Oh, my gosh. I got all these goodies from 9K, and I'm excited to. So Gary Scheetz is with us tonight, folks, from 9K Elite Lures. A big hello to everyone out there in chat before we get Gary in here. I see all the usual suspects. Awesome, guys. Everyone, JP Harrell, SDG, Matt Acevedo, Larry Hadley, Ken. All right, guys. Bass, you're in here. Clint Gordon. Everyone's going to be rolling in. We'll say hi as we get going in chat, folks. But without further ado, let's get the guy that we're bringing in tonight. He is all over Instagram, and people love his juice. So Mr. Gary Scheetz from 9K Elite Lures. I'm going to get him in right now. Gary, and here he is, Mr. 9K himself.
Welcome.
I feel like you should be saying, here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny. This is it. Gary, welcome to Jig Squad, buddy. How are you?
Good. Glad to be here. Thank you.
It's awesome, buddy. So listen.
Snowstorm we just had, though.
Yeah, man.
We got walloped too. How many inches of snow did you get, Gary?
About 12 inches.
Yeah, so we were like in that 12 to 15 inches range, and it was crazy. It was blowing around a lot today. So I'm suburbs of Chicago, and Gary's over like the northern half of Indiana.
Yeah. Okay. So in Maryland, we got zero snow. A lot of rain, though. A lot of rain. We got it a couple weeks ago. There's still snow on the ground. Yeah, man. I'm ready. Headed to Florida this weekend. What I did, man. Thank you very much.
Yo, I wanted you. I know you're a big fan of purple, so.
Oh yeah, man. I got to tell you, you got the right color going on. You got me a June buggish. That is actually one of my favorite colors in a plastic that you can't find, man.
Zoom. Which one are you talking about, Eric?
It's the purple one.
Purple Fizz?
Purple Fizz. Yeah, man. Purple Fizz. Yeah. It's
we're going to be showing these, folks.
This is a great dirty water color, guys. It's that purple with a little bit of gold flake, man. If you could find the Zoom color and a brush hog in that, I promise you, go get it. It will stick a muddy water special right there, man. If it's dark,
they used to make a speed crawl in that color too.
Oh man.
Woof. And who's that?
Zoom.
Oh, yep. Zoom. Okay, I got you. It's a beautiful color, man.
Back of that arky head, and man, you can skip that all the way to the shoreline.
That thing looks like a skipping fool right there.
And this is a half ounce, I think, too. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Gary, so as we get started, we're going to talk about some of your jigs today, talk about design, flow, color design, whatever order, all these things. But before we get going, you had shared some information the other night when you and I were talking, and I kind of want to start with that because it threw me off, and it's the name. So folks, I always thought, I'm like, 9K, it's kind of like, well, it's almost 10K. Like I never knew. I just thought 9,000. I'm like, what? There's got to be something to it. I never even asked. And then Gary and I were talking the other day, and I found out where the name came from. And it was nothing that I thought. So Gary, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the name of your company and how long you've been doing it? But start with the name, because I think that's the catch.
The name derived about 27 years ago when I used to team rope, and I had an accident one night, and I lost my right thumb on my right hand.
So my gosh. What the heck? So, when you say team rope, are you talking about like what is that? Team tug of war? What? Rodeo.
Yeah, I was heading steers, and it just got in the way and it got ripped off. But anyway,
what the heck?
Make a long story short, they call me Nine Knuckles. That's how the name derived, 9K.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a great name.
9K, you're actually talking about me personally. I'm Mr. 9K Gary Scheetz. And
that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
And hence your name here tonight on the show that you entered as you came in the room, Mr. 9K Gary Scheetz.
So
I thought that was great.
That's a great story. So from rodeos to bass rodeoing right now with jigs and chatterbaits.
It's a lot safer, let me tell you. I don't know though. Sometimes when they do the shotgun start at the tournaments, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, I got to tell you, man.
You think some of them guys were NASCAR drivers.
Oh,
no
dude,
fear.
None at all, man. No, those days are gone for me. I did a 180 boat with a buddy named Mike Draper. We were on a river with pretty heavy current. We're going around a river bend, and man, the boat came off pad. We spun. I think it was one full rotation for sure, and he held on to the wheel because if he didn't, we were going into the woods. And oh God, man, that was enough for me. Mike, don't ever do that again, dude. He goes, "You're just lucky I'm working out, man. I held on to that wheel." I'm like, "Well, you're the one driving like a fool, dude."
That's crazy.
So
Gary, 9K Elite Lures. How many years ago? How many years ago did you start the company? And tell us a little bit about why you started the company as well.
Well, we started. I have a really good friend of mine that kind of helped me get this thing started. I mean, it was an obsession that it went insane. And we started, I think it was the beginning, maybe the end of 2012, maybe the beginning of 2013. And it just kind of developed over the years. And the main reason was we went into a Bass Pro Shop and, we were getting ready for the season. And I always do that at the end of the season. It's the best time to get stuff because there's plenty. You start buying the stuff in the spring and you can't get jack. So we go in there, I got about $1,000 burning a hole in my pocket. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get me some good stuff today. We go in there. We was in there, probably about 4 hours. And, I come out with my buddy. He's got, 3 bags, spent $500, He says, "Where's your stuff?" I said, "Oh, it's right here." And I hold up a bottle of Coke and he goes, "What the hell, man?" And I'm like, "Dude, I couldn't find anything." And he says, "I need to lower my standards." And I said, "No, I'm going to start making this stuff. And I'm going to raise the bar is what I'm going to do because I'm going to make it better than, any of these guys are doing." We won't say no company names because I'm not like that. Sure. But they need to raise the bar because the components they're using are crap. And they're charging high dollar for this stuff. And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Get real. I was disgusted. So I started making my own stuff.
That's awesome, man. Born out of frustration, saw a better balance trap, and you did it.
Yeah, what was the first jig you started to make, Gary? The first mold that you started pouring?
That was the Poison Jig, the Poison Tail 3DI jig from Do It Molds. That jig is just so versatile. And I will tell you that through the years, that is still our #1 selling jig, and I think it's because of the versatility.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it, man. I mean, everything's correct. Break it down. Yeah, this is going to Florida. This will be in the game in Florida. This is a 1/2 ounce, man. I love the eyes. By the way, I'm a big fan of eyes on a jig, and you know what I like about it? I'll just point this out. Not a lot of gap between the weed guard and the brush guard. I mean, in the hook point. So that's going to come through cover nicely, man. You could swim it, you could pitch it, you could do just about anything with it, man. It is a nice build.
Every one of those heads are drilled before the weed guard goes in, and that is why because I want the weed guard to lay down on the tip of that hook.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Not a far distance to travel to stick the fish. This is
this money? Is that money bug, Eric? That's what I got too.
Bluegill. That one's
that's bluegill. This is money bug. Oh,
that is money bug.
I like money bug.
And that color earned its name, and it's still what it's.
How about that? Let's talk about the hook, man. What do you got going on here?
Those are Mustad Ultra Points.
I love it.
Yep, 30 degrees.
It's a beefy hook.
It is, man. That's going to stand up.
We've used Gamakatsu, and I'm about to make a batch of Victory hooks. So,
oh wow.
Yes.
So the Poison Tail. What's funny, Garrett? Listen, I'll tell you this. This was just me. So when I started making or pouring the Poison Tail years ago, and it's also one of my favorite jigs for what it's worth too. I started pouring with that. I forgot the number, the wide gap hook that you can put in the poison tails. It wasn't a regular round bend. Do you know the one I'm talking about? God,
Yes,
anyone else out there? What is it, Gare?
I don't know the number offhand, but I use them too.
Yeah, it basically you're creating. It's not a classic, round bend hook. It's got a wide gap hook. I started pouring them with those, but funny enough, like I've moved more in the direction of pouring with these classic just R-bend styles. And to be honest with you, this poison tail is phenomenal for chatterbaits too. In your case, you make a chatterbug, right?
Yep, I make the chatterbug.
Mm-hmm. So that's your most popular one, yes?
We just put this one up tonight. We just got them done. This is the new Jeter crawl. I don't know if you can see it real well. No.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now
you posted that on Instagram a little while ago.
Just a little bit ago, yes, because I was working on that before we got on here. So
there you go.
I'm digging this one, man. This what is this color? This is the I'm gonna call it fire crawl, but that's hot, man. That's Black hot blade, hot mama, man. That's gonna be in the, that's gonna be in the game.
That bait's so hot it'll make you slap your mama.
Now, what hook is this? Because it looks like it's got a different point. That's not a mustache.
That is a trocar.
That's what I thought.
Yep, man, that is a trocar. And on the moving baits, now personally, I like a little bit of nastiness on my moving baits, and that one came out of my box. And that's what I'm talking about. 805. Yep.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
You just sweep set that hook, and that fish is stuck.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do with a chatterbait, man. I got the right rod. I just got a new Loomis chatterbait rod, so I'm pretty stoked, man. 7.2 is nice, man. It's just built perfectly for it, so I'm stoked.
Oh yeah, you just let them load up on it, and you just go, and they ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I've been fishing the chatterbound, but this jig's going to be nice. So I like that it's got a little thicker blade. I noticed that chatterbaits that have a little thicker blade produce more thump and vibration. Let's say a harder thump, and I think that could be to your advantage occasionally. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So is the blade on yours, Eric? Is yours blade? Is it bent, or is it a straight blade?
No, it's bent on the tip. Yep.
Okay, so Gary, you want to talk about that, Gary?
Well, see the action.
I know I bend mine, and I know why I bend mine, but I give you a chance to say your piece.
Any little, you guys both know, any little adjustment you make on your bait changes the action totally.
100%.
I mean, something totally different. So the one I gave Kuda is a straight blade, and that thing hunts like a glide bait. And then if you do a stop and go retrieve on it, it produces reaction strikes in 45-degree water. I mean, the thing is way different from any other bladed jig on the market. Now, when you put the bent blade on it, it tightens it up and it don't hunt as much, but it also keeps it down in the strike zone a lot longer.
That's right.
That's what I was able to see if you were going to say, Gary. Yeah.
Yep,
Gary, exactly a couple of questions here. So Anthony's asking, I'll highlight it here. He says, so is the 3D your swim jig, which I believe the 3D is poison tails just with the eyes, right?
Yeah, it is. It's called a 3D eye swim jig, is what I call it on my webpage.
All right, here's another one for you, buddy. So it says Adam Cawley saying anything unique about that vibrating jig. So if you were to sit there and try and say, hey, here's the difference between this and some other vibrating jigs that you're going to find on the market, what would you say?
No doubt that there's some awesome vibrating jigs on the market. I mean, I don't just throw mine because I'd be a fool to do that, because in different instances, you need different baits, different presentation. But ours is different from all of them that are on the market. And I'm not going to disclose why it's different. I can tell you that it's different. And it will produce when Jackhammer won't.
I love it.
And they're done that.
Is it fair to say, Gary, that means some modifications? Yes?
Oh, absolutely.
So there's been some modifications to the standardized mold. of what people normally think of.
That's not a standard. Yes, that is not a standard do it mold by no means.
Okay.
That got Dremel.
Trevor, right. you didn't use the adjuster like Kuda?
Yep, I used the adjuster and maybe just a little bit of
Did you, Gary, do you know what the adjuster is? Did you see the show where I was talking about the adjuster?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. I've had to watch this on replay because, man, they're just working us like dogs. So, I go to bed this time.
So aside from what you mentioned about like the Dremel, right? So I call it the adjuster. So like if I'm using a different style, usually if it's the same general style of hook and I just need to insert a larger size of that hook in a certain, weight for a jig, I'll put the hook in and then I close it up. I put a scrap piece of 2x4 on the top of it, lay it on the cement and I whack it with the old hammer and I call it the adjuster. And for whatever reason, Debo really got a kick out of the adjuster for whatever reason.
He did like it.
But this is no lie, Garrett. The guy who taught me how to make jigs 20 plus years ago, my mentor, that's what he caused. He goes, and he was from the south suburbs of Chicago, but he sounded like he was from down south. And he would say, we got to go put it on the adjuster. That's what he would teach me. And that's how we modified our molds back in the day. We used the adjuster. No science behind it.
I tell you, when I do that, when I modify it for the hook, I'll heat it up. I'll let it sit on top of the pot for probably 20 minutes. I'll get it real nice and hot. I'll put the hook in there and I go slap, and it does it for you.
That's a very good tip too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, here's a great question. Oh, you got a question? I got a question from the stream that I thought
was
really great.
You ask yours.
We're going back to the swim jig. So, Gary, in your opinion, when is the right time to switch from a regular swim jig like the Poison Tail to your swing arm swim jig?
Oh man, that's a good question.
It is a great question
because with the swing tail jig, I don't use that as a swim jig. I rig it weedless and I'll throw it up in the bushes.
Okay.
And yeah, that's something different. Now I use the heavy ones, the 3/4 ounce, and I'll throw those in the bushes. When I
say the swing tails or the regular, Gary?
The swing tails. Yeah. I use the regulars, but
yeah. What trailer are you pitching into the bushes?
Mostly a crawl.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
Really like the new X Zone lures with the floating crawls because it gives it a different presentation. Oh
okay,
man,
gotcha.
Or Z-Hog, something that's got some vibration on it. But when you're jig fishing in the bushes, you're just throwing it in there and bobbing it a couple times.
Yeah, right.
Gary, did you say the X Zone lures? Is that what you said?
I sure did.
Muscleback craw?
No, the adrenaline crawl.
You like the adrenaline crawl? Okay.
Oh yes, I do. That crawl reminds me of the Z crawl from Zoom, but the pinch and float, and they did an outstanding job on that bait. I would stand behind their stuff 100%.
I'm a big fan of Jim Van Ryn stuff. X Zone's come out with some crazy cool stuff. The adrenaline crawl, muscleback, their drop shots I love. All of it. I haven't tried their tubes.
Colors, man. They're killing me with the colors.
309.
Oh yeah, the purple.
It's a crazy good color.
What was that? Big Limits, the new one. So it's
Big Limit.
Green pumpkin goby on the top and it's purple on the bottom. Man, that thing is absolute fire.
Great colors. Great colors.
Oh, yeah, that'll work real good at Benton Harbor.
Let me see. What else did I see here? Eric, I highlighted that comment you were talking about. Somebody wants to know if you're drinking coffee, my man.
I just answered.
You said, yeah? I'm scrolling down. I'm not there yet.
Adam Cawley asked. He's a fan of evening coffee, too. I know there were some additional questions about the chatterbait. The straight blade is kind of your hunting version. When people go to your site, is it evident which ones are bent, which ones are straight? Can they order it, make that preference? Do you distinguish the two? Adam Cawley was asking about that.
Normally, we sell it with the standard blade, which is the straight blade. If they want to leave a comment on on the page when you order.
Yep.
They can ask for bent blades.
Sure.
On the 3/8 ounce, I definitely put a bent blade on there because if you put that flat blade on there, that thing rises way too quick when you're retrieving it.
You need the half ounce to get it to stay down. Sure.
You need the half ounce or the 3/4, and I do make it in a 1 ounce. So
do you really? Let's talk about the 1 ounce chatterbait application. Go, Gary. Do you throw 1 ounce? Maybe you don't fish in areas and other guys are about. So we're
I throw
go ahead.
1 ounce bluegill. 1 ounce bluegill. I throw it.
Tell me how you're fishing that 1 ounce bait. This is fascinating to me.
Fish that one deep, slow rolling it across the bottom. And I've got a lake here in Michigan, southern Michigan, that we use that a lot on. It's called Lake Juneau. And down on the secondary flats, rolling across the top of that grass, boy, they will hammer that thing.
Man, what's your trailer of choice on your 1 ounce bluegill chatterbait?
Well, normally I'm using like a rage crawl. If I want something more subtle, I use a flute or something streamlined.
Sure.
I mean, all that stuff, as well as I do, all that stuff changes the presentation of the bait. So 100%. You got water clarity, temperature, the skies, all that stuff makes a big difference. And there are so many different trailers that I have that go on the back of that. I have guys that ask, and what do I use? And I tell them, well, all the things that I just said, and mostly like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, well, I've been doing this game for so long that it's like a muscle memory for me. And I say, one thing that I will say that you've probably heard 1,000 times, and you're going to hear it 100,000 more times in your lifetime, is you can't beat time on the water. That's how we know what to throw.
True. You could do a master class. Literally, you could spend an entire show on chatterbaiting and different trailers, when, where, why. There are things that I'm sure people would think about. You can throw anything on the back of a chatterbait. I heard a story the other day, an 8-inch regular corkscrew tail worm. Think about it like a old monster, maybe not that big, but the Mag 2 would be a great example on the back of a chatterbait. Now think about what that would look like in the water. That's a bait, right? But all you're doing is creating a different vibration to that same worm that you fish Texas rig or on a swing jig, right? A swing head jig, right? So has anybody out there on the stream, I'd like to hear somebody, have you ever tried an 8-inch worm on the back of your chatterbait? I venture to say, I know I haven't.
No, never.
I've tried some funky things, but not that.
Not an 8-inch worm. We're getting ready to try a little bit of old school technique called the zoom worm, speed worm on the back of the chatter. Yep.
Yeah, I mean the zoom vibratail speed worm, the ultra vibe in Florida is something that I've heard, and I call the lie detector. Brett Anderson, he's a tremendous guy, heck of a fisherman. He goes, man, if they ain't biting a June bug speed worm in Florida, they ain't biting. It calls it the lie detector. So I'm really curious. Yeah. Berkeley made a speed worm-esque, like shad shaped chatterbait trailer. I don't know if it was for chatterbaits, but I threw it on the back of a chatterbait and it created a lot of hunting action. So
did it?
Yeah, absolutely did. Yeah, you have to have it heavy enough. The 3/8 handled it pretty good. It was a havoc bait, so it's really cheap, no scent, $2.99. That's why I liked it, and the plastic was tough. So interesting, man. But it had that vibratail cut to it, you know what I mean, and tail. So I experimented with it both ways. The cut up, cut down. So it didn't seem to matter.
Somebody's asking in chat, talking about the can you show the 3D jig head? And if you have one, and maybe talk about the line tie angle, right? So, I mean, this is, guys, I don't know if you guys could see. Hold on, let me see.
That's a 30-degree line tie on the 3DI. It's a swim jig is what it is, but it's versatile. You can do anything with this jig. You can skip it. You can throw it in the bushes. You can swim it. I mean, it's the most versatile jig that I've ever made. and it's been the top seller since 2014. I mean, and
in theory, Garrett, the poison tail. Let me see if I could show this. If I can get the head closer to the thing. If you see, let me see if I can get this. My angles right. I'm horrible at this, but basically, if you remember the old bullet head jigs, right?
that's
this
exactly
is
what it is.
it's similar in profile. It's thinner towards the front, and it cones on the shape of the poison tail, right? So, and also you've got function where it's a little flatter on this front little part, rounds off on the underside. But this is, I build this as like a swim jig, right? And that line type positioning is going to help you come through cover a little more effectively. Now, somebody asked earlier about, just I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in for whatever that's worth, about the difference between a straight the straight hooked swim jig and then a swing tail. And personally, I believe a swing tail shines if you're going to use it as a swim jig, if you're going to do, jerking actions similar to what you would do almost with a jerk bait. And when you do that, you're going to change the action. I think it's going to be a little more significant with a swing tail. And a lot of guys, usually if it's a swing tail, they're usually fishing it slower and more times on the bottom. But I'm talking about retrieves, straight retrieves, and you're going to fish it similarly to a very aggressive jerk bait retrieve. That's what I do. But you have to keep in mind too, I also fish rivers, right? So like I'm trying to swing things through current seams and stuff like that. So that's just me.
Nice. I want to put this thing up on the magnifier, Cuda.
Oh yeah, let's do it, buddy.
This is I want to show this. I'm going to flip to the Chatterbait real quick because I want you guys to appreciate the paint job on this head, man. Look, hold on.
Oh yeah, the underside?
No, not
or
the
top.
underside. Just the whole thing. I'm messing it up. There we go. How's that looking, everybody? And that's all hand tied too. Man, that's beautiful. And a beefy connection for your line. I love it. The snap. That's strong right there.
Yeah, that a lot of guys ask me about the split ring killing the action. I don't know whoever told them that bait's got more action than I think it thumps harder than the jackhammer does.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt. Yeah.
So another thing, guys, and it's not just because I'm holding Gary's baits in front of me. I'm telling you straight up. Gary, actually, I just wouldn't say anything about it if I didn't think highly of his skirts. So Gary's skirts proportionally are just, they're the right amount. They're not.
Yeah, not tied too thick, man. You're right.
Now, technically, if it was a Cuda jig, I'd go like that. I'd take more off. But the point is, I'm just saying in terms of a well-balanced jig, just how it feels, and you could just tell by the flow and movement in the water. It's just right there. You know what I mean? It's not too much. And I'm not even guessing how many tabs he's using. But I mean, there's a lot of jig makers in the room, but you get the general gist. There's the guys that like to design with three plus tabs, and then there's that sweet spot. And I feel like Gary's on the sweet spot here. So
no
just
doubt.
very nice jigs, buddy.
No doubt.
A lot of time went into figuring that out. A lot of time because that we made that jig with the skirt like that to work in any color clarity, any color water temperature, anywhere in the continental United States. And now I've got people in other countries buying my stuff, and it's doing just as much damage here as it is there. That's crazy.
Sean, I just put a banner up for it. 9K Elite Lures.
Boom. There you go.
So Gary, somebody was asking about how many strands. Do you know how many strands you actually have in there?
You know he knows.
Now on the half ounce and the 3/8 ounce, we play with it per size of the head. Okay.
Look at this. Every answer I'm waiting to see if he's going to come out with flying colors, at least from what I think. And here he is. He just shows up. He just shows up.
You're 30. 28 on the 3/8, and it depends on the color too, because I'm anal. strictly anal about how the skirt looks when it's done. And every one of these jigs pass my hands. And if it's not right, I'll retie it.
Yeah, I mean, your placement of colors is like spot on, man. Wire tied.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, man. It's beautiful work.
Here's one we're playing with. I found the trailer to match that Hot Mama.
Oh, Eric was gonna like that one.
I got one. That's a nice one, man. That's a beautiful one.
Assassin Vapor Shad is what that is.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about.
That's money
dirty.
Right,
that's dirty. I got a few little secrets over there too, man. I got one that has a little gold in it. I'm talking Rayburn red with a little gold.
Oh yeah.
You gotta bling up your chatterbaits sometimes. That's right.
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, and we don't just make chatterbaits and jigs. We do spinnerbaits, buzzbaits. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those. Here's a new spinnerbait that's coming out. This is called a rat tail, and that's a hand-tied tail on the back of it.
All right, here's a question for you with that. When you have that tail on there, are you also fishing that with an additional trailer, or are you allowing that tie to be the trailer itself, the extended length of material?
100%.
I love it.
I don't put trailer on that. I use the skirt to hide that hook, and it's just long enough. If you put a trailer hook on the back of that skirt is maybe just a hair longer than that, so it hides that trailer hook perfectly.
Yeah, that's nice.
And they come up and they will pummel that thing.
That's a lot of flow.
Yeah,
that's somebody commented on the copper blade. They're like, "Oh, copper." Did they see it right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they sure did. That's
you don't see it. You really don't see a lot of copper blades in the spinnerbait game, man.
That's one of my nasty little smallmouth tricks.
Nice.
They see brass, they see gold. When you're on St. Clair, throw a copper blade at them, boy. They'll
yeah.
Quit.
No, for all you smallmouth heads out there, that's a great little tip right there, man.
Oh yeah.
Can we go back to this jig in the muscadine color? That's what I'm going to call it, because that's what it reminds me of. So a tip for all you guys out there that ever encounter muddy water: if you can find anything in Zoom muscadine, buy it, because it's a dynamite color. It's a dark purple with gold flake. But anyway, this has that muscadine flavor. This looks like a skipping monster, man. What a beautiful. Look how flat that head is, man.
Which one is that, Eric? Is that Roswell?
No, that's Purple Fizz. Is what
Purple Fizz.
Purple
and that
Fizz.
works in clear water too.
Yeah, I mean, don't sleep on dark colors in clear water. But I like that the head shape of this has got to be a skipping fool, man. Talk to me about the head. What do you?
And the skirt amount in this thing is dynamo too. It's perfect.
That's just the standard do it mold Archie head. Now, I get technical with this stuff because, like I said a few times already tonight, that any little modification you make to these things changes the presentation. Now,
that's
right. I do both Archie heads. I do a flat eye and I do a vertical line tie.
Oh, nice.
The vertical one, because those are the ones that I like to skip underneath piers, because then you can that vertical line tie brings it through stuff better.
Interesting.
Now, they're not so good in the bushes. I lose a lot of them when I start flipping them in bushes.
Yeah.
Like,
but Docs, you like the vertical eye more.
Oh yeah. I throw a vertical line tie most of the time until
this is why we're Jig Squad, Gary.
This is getting technical.
This is why we're Jig Squad.
That's exactly right.
Oh man, I didn't even send you guys one of these. This is my favorite little compact jig that I use. That's a 1/2 ounce football jig. I don't know if you can see the hook real well. That's a 2/0 hook, and this thing,
beautiful.
It's so compact. It's a beast, especially in the northern Michigan lakes when the water is crystal clear, compact. They're like, what color do you throw up there? And I go, well, I got one that I call Bam Bam. It's not on the page. It's a custom one. That's my color. It's green pumpkin brown with purple red flake in it.
Heck yeah, man. So you don't even. This isn't that jig, right? Because that's not a 2/0 skirt. I mean, that's not a 2/0 hook, right?
This is that's the beast too. The first time I took that out in a tournament, I won big bass with it, and it was a small.
What's in this, Gary? Is that a 3-aught or a 4-aught? For sure, it's a minimum of 3.
I'm doing this.
That's
it's a half ounce.
I'm doing this for Devin. Devin, you didn't miss the magnifier, man.
It's a 4.
4 or 5. Okay. Yeah, it's a 4 or 5.
Get that head right in there.
So for anyone in chat tonight, right? We get a lot of jig makers, right? I know that. But if you're not a regular jig maker, a lot of these small little details of like adjusting the amount of skirt you use. And you know what the thing is? Just because one person says they like something a certain way, fish things how you want them. But what you have to keep in mind too is depending on the weight of the jig and the amount of skirting material you use, it's going to impact fall rate, movement in the water, and all those different things. So you kind of have to find what your style is and what you kind of like a little bit, right? And everyone has a little different feel for that.
And action of your trailer, like for a swim jig, you know, if your skirt material is too thick or it's too far into the legs, you don't get any kick. I like a Berkeley chigger craw. I'd probably won more money on a Berkeley chigger craw on the back of a swim jig than anything. I'm not an Alabama shaker. I don't need to with the way that thing is kicking. That thing is naturally moving on its own. It's going wild. But let's talk. I always have these questions for people that appear on Jig Squad. What do you think of first when you're designing a new bait or a jig? Are you thinking flow, color, or design? First.
Well, when I'm designing a new thing, and I look at it different because, you know, I'm going to be 50 this year. I spent a lot of time on the water. Some people would think I'm just batshit crazy. I just look at this stuff in a whole different perspective. And I think the guys that are really good are in the same category with like me and Eric. We're just insane. I mean, when it comes to this stuff. So when I start designing a new one, mostly I'm thinking about color. And I'm thinking about
that's why I invited you
with this color. Are we gonna fish it in the bushes? We're gonna fish it in the wood, we're gonna fish it in the rock. What are we gonna do? Or do we want to make it an all-round jig? That's where we go first. And then it goes to now I have that skirt. We spent years dialing that skirt in. So it'd be good everywhere in the country. And I've seen great success from anglers all over the United States. I mean, California, Texas, Florida, Kentucky. I had a guy win the co-angler side of the BFL on Kentucky Dam because I've been down there. I know what colors work early spring. He won 30 grand.
Wow.
Wow. First in the boat was like a 7+.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's man.
Great.
What a good, he put it right in front of him. He said, don't.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's crazy. As far as design goes on the jig, I kind of stick to the basics. What I sent you guys, I kind of believe is the building blocks of jig fishing, and it really don't get away from that too much. And it's going to be technique specific. So, I mean, like I said, you're either fishing wood, rock, you're swimming it, or you're fishing in the bushes.
Yeah, swimming, pitching, swimming, dragging, right? I mean,
hopping.
All those things are hopping, stroking. All those things are in play, right?
I really don't put a whole lot of action on my jigs. I kind of.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
When I'm fishing my jigs, I don't. Okay. I'm not a shaker. I'm not a hopper. Yep. I got this little thing where I do is a short hop. So it's just so I'm moving the tip of my rod just like a drop shot. And it's moving up off, and then I'll stroke it, and then usually on that fall is when they hit it.
Right. Interesting. So
cool. This is the hook that you were talking about.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me make you big here, brother.
There you go, Kuda.
Yeah. This is it. And I forgot the number. It's a Mustang.
Oh, way better.
There you
way
go.
Better.
That's a nice wide gap hook right there. I've had one of those buried in the palm of my hand.
Is that a poison tail or no? That's not a poison tail.
This is a bullet head, and this is
bullet
a 5/8
head. Okay,
that is a bullet head swim jig, 5/8 ounce. Yeah, there you go, 5/8 ounce, 30-degree line tie, and that's one with that big nasty wide gap. That is one that I like to throw in the bushes. Is when they hit this, they get a throat full of that hook.
They get a throat
coming in. Nice.
Oh yeah, they don't mess around in the bushes.
They do not mess around in the bushes. That's beautiful, buddy.
He threw something in the middle of your living room when you were trying to relax. It'd make you mad too.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
you gotta talk about wall of skirting here. This all this behind me is skirt material.
So hold on, I'm gonna make you big again for a second because I was telling Eric, I said, hey, the other day we kind of did a little get settled and make sure you knew how to come on the stream and everything. And I said, you got to see the wall behind Gary. It looks like your wall of crankbaits, but it's all the small compartments and it's all got skirt material in there. It's the mothership.
Awesome. That's awesome, man.
700 colors.
I could be at Gary's place in under 2 hours.
Wow.
And there's one of these days I'm going to come and hang out and bring a couple of beers.
All right. That's incredible, man. All right.
Like 20 gallons of stuff in this 5-gallon bucket.
Do you get crazy when they discontinue old colors of jigs and stuff?
If like it's something that I've used, for years, like, and some of my distributors have done that, and they, I'll take for one. I used to get a clear skirt material,
and a little chilly in here. Sorry, really, a clear skirt material.
Yeah, straight up clear. Because we fish in northern Michigan and the water up there is incredibly clear, and I like for some swim jigs, alewives and some of the other stuff they eat up there. I like clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never.
They got rid of it. They got rid of it, and I'm like, so I get on eBay. I freak out. And I get on eBay, and I'm looking all over for this stuff. And I'll buy it all. And
sure.
I've got maybe 100 tabs left of that. And it's like,
oh no,
man. Was it when you say clear, was it clear with like gold or silver flake? Because I've seen some like JDM stuff.
It was like a translucent clear. So perfect chat imitator. Perfect.
Translucent. So like it was just there was no color, it wasn't no metallic.
Like frosted almost, Gary.
Here, I got some.
Oh, you're gonna have to show us a picture, man. You gotta make it big right now. I need to see this.
How quickly can we get a magnifier sent over to Gary's house?
I tell you, man, right? Man, we'd be using it.
We need a Jig Squad magnifier.
Ooh, we move that's stuff what I'm talking about.
I think
I'm go old school and hold the magnifier up or anything like that.
We could do that too. Look at that. Look at him. Look at him back there. Hold on.
That's so crazy, man. Make him big. Make him big. Look at that wall of goodness.
I don't know where we put it. Gosh. It's real clear. Yeah, I don't know where I put it right offhand. I might have hit
That's
it.
all right.
You probably hit it.
We know you hit it in case your buddies come over. They ain't grabbing the last 100 tabs, man.
They'd be walking out with a big sandwich bag of your.
You damn right they would.
Skirts.
No, I'm dying to see this. He's got my brain going like have I seen it? Has anybody out there that's the 62, 3, 4 people watching right now? Has anybody seen this clear kind of silicone?
I think that I've seen it.
It's translucent, but does it have a color? Does it look milky-ish? Or is it?
It's milky. You can see through it, but it's milky-ish. I wish I would have.
Okay. But no
glitter.
No, I'm not talking glitter, but no like micro.
It's translucent.
No micro pearl or anything like that to it. Like it doesn't flash any color. That's so crazy, man.
Milky, yeah. It was a good color, and they discontinued it, and I was like,
it's gone.
What would you pair it with? Like a white trailer or any type of a shad or anything?
Something white. Like
that makes sense. All right, now that makes sense. It's allowing the trailer to be the feature. Okay, gotcha.
Jason Emery's got it. Jason Emery's got your last 100.
What's up, Jason? That's one of my post-step guys right there.
Oh, very cool, man. Oh, yes, that's funny, man. You try to get it from your office, Gary. That's so funny, man.
It's hilarious.
People come over to the house because we call this the magic room. They walk in, and I tell them beforehand, this is like an adult candy store, man. They're
like shopping.
Bro. I got one.
Anything you could think of.
They walk in, and man.
It's like
you get foggy. You get foggy really quick because it's like you want it all. All right, I got a question for you. You build a lot of jigs. You got chatterbaits, you got buzzbaits, you got spinnerbaits. All of them have skirt material.
Oh yeah.
Were you, or have you been in your bass fishing career life a fan of either round rubber, square cut, flat rubber, whatever, but rubber-based skirting material, old school style? Do you think it matters? Yeah, I mean, do you still do it for yourself? Did you do it back in the day? Mm-hmm.
I have living rubber. I have square cut rubber. I have round rubber. I like the round rubber on finesse jigs in extremely cold water.
Sure.
I use them on brush jigs. You know what a brush jig is? It's kind of a stand-up head.
Yeah.
And you use rubber on that, and then you throw a darter on the top of it. And man, that presentation is that thing standing almost straight up.
Straight up. Oh my gosh, right?
Come straight down on that. Oh,
you can't take it. That's cool, man. Any finesse jigs in your lineup, like, you know, traditional finesse jigs that you really have built and like?
What about that 2-aught football you were talking about there, my man?
That's something that we're working on. I have guys that come over, you know, I have guys that I converse with. None of us are professionals. I just lay that disclaimer right now. We've been fishing forever, though. So, you know, I think I got it close to 25, 30 years, maybe 10 tournament fishing, but nothing big. Wow. The biggest we've done was a USA Bass tournament down on Kentucky Dam. Got to see Barkley. Fun. A lot of water. But we're working on that. I got some ideas. I like when you're open water fishing. Now, see, I really like tungsten jigs. And where we got this idea was I use Kitech tungsten jigs. Love them. Half ounce.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
Hell
yeah, dude. Badass. Fine cut for sure. Money.
Yes. But the thing is, the hook's a little too small.
I agree.
100% agree.
I agree, but that jig gets bit, dude. You can't deny it gets bit.
I'm gonna tell you what, that jig, and you'll never guess
dirty.
what my favorite color is.
Go ahead, take a shot. Black.
Yes, I watch you and Travis all the time, man. Yes, I will agree with that, man.
Yeah.
Black. Yeah. Black.
Straight.
It's a popular jig. It's a very, very popular jig.
All these.
I like the hook because it has that tipped up point, but it's too small. It's too small.
Too small. That's why we went to this football jig. This football jig is here. It is again. This football.
Make it big. I want to see this football jig up close. I know we're like all over the map right now. Kuda's the producer. He's killing it. Nice job, Kuda.
This football jig is great, man. It's a 2-aught must-add flat eye hook, half-ounce head. And we're even thinking about going to a smaller weed guard because this is more for open water fishing. So like around bridge pillars and in the rock and stuff. And this is the replacement for that Kitech jig.
Right.
I wish I had some clout in the fishing industry because, man, I like to call these designers and say, dude, this jig would kill it. You would absolutely kill it if you put the next size up hook in there.
No doubt.
I'm not saying anything bad because I use the crap out of that jig. I buy those by the hundreds. And
you know what the thing is? There is
not just for smallmouth, guys. Not just for smallmouth. You heard it here first.
No.
The crazy thing is, smallmouth guys will use smaller hooks in a lot of different applications. But I'm just saying that, man, if you go below a 2-aught hook in that smaller, compact football style jig, you're asking for problems. I don't know what to say. I don't like a 1-aught. I don't like anything smaller. It's like
2-aught.
2-aught. You have to. That's the sweet spot. A lot of people on finesse jigs are using 2-aught style hooks. I will tell you, if I could find the right hook, I would go with the 1-aught. I'm going to be honest with you. I would prefer to go smaller, but the thing is, I just can't go below a 2-aught right now. There's nothing out there that I would go smaller.
I've seen this one Gamakatsu hook that was in a tube head that is 2-aught and badass. I wish they made it in a different bend, but they don't. It's 90 degree.
I use
stout, Kuda, stout and small.
Really?
Yeah,
I have to go look. I want to go look it up.
It's 90. You'd have to like torch it and bend it. You don't want to do that kind of stuff to a hook when you're throwing it in a jig. You know what I mean?
Somebody messaged me the other day, Eric, and they were telling me some crazy stuff about. They're in chat right now. I'm not going to say who because I just saw them. They talked about what they can bend, what hooks they can bend, and what hooks they couldn't bend, and some good experience they've had with that. But I'll save it because this person is somebody I might want to have on someday. And
That's
so
right.
I think I'm going to let it keep that juice for them when they come on because I'm afraid to bend the hooks. I'm not going to lie.
But as a jig maker, who the hell wants to heat the hook up till it's glowing orange?
Not
interested.
interested.
And then bend it and then like anneal it or whatever you do. You quench. I don't even know. Like you're freaking some sword maker in 1800. Forget it, man. Like you got to have the furnace going and pow, sparks flying. What's he making? A freaking football jig?
That's hooks. If you heat up, a hook to bend and get it glowing red, you don't need to cool it off. Just throw it on a piece of wood and let it cool down. You're not gonna lose your temper. You'll lose your temper, but that break point is inside the lead. It's encased in the lead, so it's not gonna break.
Okay.
Try it sometime, and when you're done,
I'm not doing it. But yeah, I don't bend hooks. I don't even make jigs. I don't pour lead because I'm busy. I'm busy doing all this other crazy stuff in here.
I have guys that I converse with when I
Forged in Fire Hooks Edition. Brandon Humberson, he's the best.
Hey, Gary, we're going to bring you back for another show sometime, and we're going to just do Forged in Fire.
Fire Hooks Edition.
Forged in Fire with 9K.
I freaking love it, man. Sparks flying in his room, man.
Can we get the aprons?
Hey, I want a Damascus steel jig.
There you go. Why not? What 2-aught or 1-aught Damascus steel?
I want 2-aught Damascus steel, buddy. I want it folded and bent 10,000 times, and I want that little freaking marbling you get with Damascus steel.
Well, if we go Damascus steel, we should be able to go down to 1-aught though.
Oh, sure.
Let's get our 1-aught.
Fold that thing 10,000 times and make a jig. Let's go. That's some craziness.
We're crazy. We're all crazy.
Break out the anvil. I love it, man.
Can we get the aprons with like Jig Squad on the front?
Yeah,
to look like Emerald Lagasse, except that it will be Jig Squad.
Damn, that's funny.
This is what we do here, folks. We're here for your entertainment.
Man. Yeah, when we first started bending hooks, man, I'd hook the hook to 85-pound braid, and I'd put it on a heavy rod, and I'd be out on the back of my truck just jerking. The neighbor's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to break that hook." He's like,
"I'm working over the hook." There you go.
I was trying to break it, and I couldn't get it done. He goes, "You're gonna break that rod."
Awesome. That's awesome. So, Garrett, let me ask you a question. So you run your online store, right? Are you where else can people find 9K jigs?
There's some stuff available at Tackle Shack in Middlebury, Indiana. Other than that, I don't have any distributors. We're just a small little thing, we're 3 guys, maybe part-time. And
nice.
It's getting hectic around here because this is the time of year when things just go crazy. Everybody's got the fever, they're itching to get a hold of a big.
Oh man, for sure.
They're seeing my stuff. We're getting more exposure, and yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome, Gary.
Hard to believe that it went like this because my passion. I'm here because I'm passionate about bass fishing. I ain't here to get rid. I'm not here to get famous because I'm telling you, when I go to a trade show and they find out I'm Mr. 9K, oh my God, it's like, oh shit. Do I put something over my head and run and hide? Everybody's asking me a million questions at one time, and I just get overwhelmed, man.
I feel you, brother. Crazy. It's hard.
The big thing is, Garrett, I think here's the thing. Everyone wants a lure, a bait, in our case, jigs, right? Everyone wants a jig that works, that you catch fish with, that looks cool, right? Because but here's the thing. I do believe that our ability to tell stories are extremely important. So like when you go to shows, Gare, right? You're able to talk to people, interact with people. And there's a lot to be said there because, let's be honest, if you look somebody in the eye and you think they're full of shit, like you're not inclined to want to use their product or you're not sure if they're being genuine or not. So like people have to blindly trust that, you know, a lot of people talk about the smell test and the sniff test. Well, there's a color sight test that goes on when you look at people's jigs.
Yeah, man.
It's the color test. And that's why color is important, right? And you look, and if your jig looks like
caca,
no one's gonna be on it, right? So
I'll
the thing is, everyone's story is important, and that's why Jig Squad, that's why we're doing this, because it's like there's guys like you that I've watched over the last 2 years on Instagram, and I'm like, you know, just look at his stuff is consistent. That's a big deal. You want to sell jigs, folks, your stuff's got to be consistent. You can't just come out with a new jig pattern, you know, 3 times a week and all of a sudden this is the new thing. You know, a lot goes into the planning and stuff. And for me, that's not my jam. Like I like making 2 or 3 of something, and then I'm on to another color or another pattern and then see if it works. But I mean, that's why I appreciate you so much, Garrett, because like you have these unique color combinations. It's a business. And yet you, like you said earlier, you believe in keeping it simple. There are some foundational jig styles that really work, and that's what you run with.
That's right, man.
Yes.
I love it.
It took me 2 years. It took me 2 years of hard planning to get these colors dialed in to which ones work the best. And I wanted something that wasn't just working good here for me. I wanted something that worked all across the nation and even in other countries, you know. So it takes a lot of research and development. And I mean, we, not only myself, but the guys that have helped me get to where we're at, man, we've spent countless hours on the water getting this stuff dialed in. I mean, people, I don't think people look at the stuff and appreciate what has went into it, just like you said. I mean,
I agree.
Top notch, because that was one thing that discouraged me back in the day was, you know, they bring forth good colors, but the components are crap.
Right. I always think about what the jig could look great, but what's the hook?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
It's the hand-tied skirt. That's
how
huge,
many
right?
big fish we've lost because this broke or this broke, or I mean, even like our spinner baits. You know, there's only one other company that makes a spinnerbait with that twisted wire.
Hey, wire twist, brother.
You live close to me enough to me, Kudo, that you know what I'm talking about. These
I do know.
They're bait stealing tricks.
Is that the truth?
I do know, and it's funny because it's interesting you said that. And you know, Garrett, like one of the things we talk about too is don't get me wrong, people show me new stuff and it excites me. And I think that's true for all of us as fishermen, right? Or fisher people, right? But at the end of the day, I think I want my hope with Jig Squad, right, is that we allow ourselves to appreciate other people's opinions, approaches, and different philosophies on some things. Because there's some people, you know, I have some good friends that I think are jig snobs, right? You know,
jig snobs,
yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, but what I mean by that is they chase brands, right?
Yeah,
and the thing is, if I ask them like, well, what do you like about their jig, or what's your favorite jig? And you're like, oh, all of them. Well, why? You know, like the ability to tell people why is extremely important sometimes.
Sure.
And I think that's the part that doesn't happen that much. And sometimes, you know, like that's why I appreciate the design and so much, is because one, it's allowed me to escape, two, to do creative things, but more importantly, it's allowed me to make things. And you said it earlier, Gare, why you started the company. It allows me to make things that I couldn't find in the store years ago. Yeah. And I can do and play around with different things. And like, I'll give you an example. Like when Eric asked a little bit ago about rubber, square cut, flat cut, round cut. So what's funny is if you talk to the old salts out there, right, they'll all tell you that they're all chasing the old school flat rubber. I'm not interested in the old school flat rubber, you know, and people don't understand why when I say that. I'm like, I like round rubber. I'm like, why? I go, well, I like it for finesse applications. They're like, well, flat rubber is better. I go, why? Because somebody told you that? Flat rubber. I said, do you know why flat rubber is supposedly better? You know, I tell people these things because I'm like, flat rubber moves more water. That's the difference between round rubber and flat rubber. It moves more water. And if you start doing your research and digging, you'll find those things, right? But I like round rubber because I don't want as much movement from the water in theory in my design. And I'm using less material and I don't want as much. But it's those little things that somebody else could say, well, whatever, Kuda, I don't agree with that. And that's okay. It's just, it's one of those things that's my opinion on something. And I know that people could do it another day. Look at Perfect Jig says the square is where it's at. See, he likes square, right? So all these
all good, right? That's it.
It's all good. That's right.
It works for him. That's great.
I got a technical question on your weed guard.
Okay.
And this is important. So you picked, it seems, and I like it, by the way. It's not stiff and it's not soft. It's medium. Would you agree? Medium. How would you describe your weed guard in terms of medium? Okay.
Those are medium.
So now I got what's that? They're kind of soft?
Yeah, they're kind of softer than most jigs.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So when you're preparing this jig, what's really cool about it is I don't feel like I have to cut any off. It's got the right amount of, strands in it.
You can use it that way. You don't have to cut it off. Yeah.
That's okay. Gotcha. What do you do with if I'm swimming the jig, I'm not going to do much to it, but if I'm pitching the jig, are you splaying it? Are you trying to do a V like that? What are you doing to your weed guard if you're pitching, dragging versus swimming? Because if it's swimming, I want it to come right through. Go ahead.
I take my scissors and I lay it on my hook and I cut it right across. So there's hardly any weed guard there.
And do you splay it at all? Do you spread out the fibers? You don't do any of that stuff right there.
Do you, Eric?
I've done a lot of different things, man.
I know you have.
I talked about this on I think it was Ike Live or Bass University. I thought this was a pretty cool concept. If I'm at heavy cover, or like not heavy cover, but I did like a little V, and I thought that was pretty cool and inventive because I just did that with that jig and it stayed there nice, right? I've also spread it all out, so if I'm dragging it, so that if I spread it out, right, I'm definitely gonna have protection. So I'm not going to get hung up as much. See how I spread it completely out there? I'm just asking the question to a guy who fishes a jig a lot and see what his opinion was. And that's what I'm curious about. I'm gonna
put this out here. That is a really good suggestion that you just said in theory. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you when I started fishing jigs in heavy bushes, the guy that taught me how to do it, my mentor, Don Miles, he would look at me and laugh and he'd go, "You want to know how? What are you doing? Bushes?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Go out in the front yard and throw that jig in that bush and work it, practice, work that jig, learn how to use that jig in that bush." And I did that for years. Yeah, well, and yeah, you just got to learn what you're doing. And now, I'm at the age where kids are all grown up. I'm buying the best of the best equipment that we can use. And man. Fishing the jig for me, I could throw it in the bush without a weed guard and not get hung up. And if it does get hung up, and if it does get up, if it does get hung up, I would shrug my shoulders and look at the guy I'm fishing with and go, "Oh well, my jigs are disposable. I'll just get another one."
What's your jig setup, man? Sorry, I gotta ask you the question. When you're flipping bushes, 20-pound fluoro, what are you doing?
I run P-line fluoroclear, 20 pound. Don't like throwing fluorocarbon in the bushes, and we don't use spray in the bushes. That way, if we do get hung up, we're not leaving 30 foot of braid there in the bush that someone can get wrapped around their prop or their color on their trolling motor. Right. So I'm using the GLX medium heavy.
My man, GLX, nice.
I think that's an 843. I think that's what that is. I had to go get it and look.
That's all right. I'm just curious.
A Mediterranean. The new Mediterranean. I switched over.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a big Shimano guy.
Yeah, me too, man.
I knew Gary, I'm going to highlight this question because I knew sooner or later this was going to come up on Jig Squad, and my good buddy fishing the 262, Andrew, from Wisconsin. Andrew, is it 262 or 282? 262, I think.
262, I think.
Yeah. So Horseshoe Tackle asked this question. Now, guys, I don't want to lose my mind on good old Randy here, but I want you to think about this for a second, and I want to have a good conversation about this here, boys. Horseshoe Tackle says, in my opinion, there should be more $10 jigs on the market. For the amount of work that goes into jig making, they are undervalued comparatively to the rest of the custom bait market. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat that I agree with this statement because Andrew, fishing the 262, has been talking about this for right before the Randy stuff came out. Ironically enough, he came out with his jig. But if you think about this conceptually, and, Gary's in a position where he's a business, he's selling jigs. But at the end of the day, what if somebody takes a DT6 and resells it on their website as a custom painted crank? What's it go for? It goes for the cost of the crank plus another $5 to $10, right?
Yep.
What would a custom DT6 cost? $15 minimum?
Probably.
What's a TK custom painted, Eric, go for a standard crank?
I mean, the baits, if you're buying a retail DT right now, you can get it on sale, maybe $6.99 or something like that. And, minimum $10 a paint, if not 12. So 18, 19, 20 bucks.
So conceptually, if you think about that comparatively to the work done to individually create skirts, sometimes guys are pouring jigs, sometimes they're not, right? Because of the work. That's the case. Now, listen, I'm not saying jigs should cost $10. Mm-hmm. I agree with the concept of what Horseshoe Tackle just said here, because does that mean that maybe custom made jigs or small jig companies that aren't mass produced and made in house and they're custom, regardless of whether it's a consistent line or not, does that not mean that they basically, in order to be competitive, their dollars are less than where they might be marketed at? $7 a jig, $8 a jig. I'm not saying there's a right answer. I'm making the point. Gary, do you have any comments on this?
Well, people, they just don't want to pay. I'll just say that right now.
That's true.
The time and effort that I put in all these, I think is, as far as I want to say, I don't want to upset anybody, but it's greatly underappreciated. And I have to keep my jigs competitively priced with everything else that's on the market. So if you go on our website right now, because everything is kind of slow, jigs are $4.99. Okay, everybody else's jigs are $4.99, and I can tell you right now, the quality and time that goes into my stuff is better than anything you can buy from any company.
That's a fact.
The only one that even comes close to what we're doing is 6th Sense, and I really appreciate some of their stuff. His products are good, but so the difference between a rubber band skirt and the hand tied jig.
Sure. I mean, right there. To me, it's worth the price of admission. Correct weed guard, fibers in it, the correct strands for flow, the correct angle of the weed guard. It's things that people don't know, and we're all drawn to the hype and the advertising. And I think that's one of the things that Jig Squad stands for. It's like it's like shopping local. And look, no bad feelings towards any major company out there. I have all the brands too, like everybody. If you grew up in bass fishing, you own a straight cut product. Right, of course. But at the end of the day, there are better mousetraps out there, and to support local guys and garage makers like Gary. I mean, you're bigger than a garage maker, but I mean, man, hats off. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm all about.
And I have much respect for both of you for doing what you're doing. It's greatly appreciated from all of us that are here at the 9K Magic Room. Yes,
heck yeah, baby. Magic Room. I love it.
It's crazy because Gary's a business, right? Yeah. But there's going to be plenty of businesses that come on Jig Squad. There'll be some people that are just tires that don't sell.
Yep.
There'll be people that are businesses too. And Gary's in that world. And the thing is, Gary's a good example, or anyone else, right? Guys like Gary and 9K, they don't have to come on Jig Squad. They don't have to tell us what type of hook they're using. They don't have to. Eric, right? Eric was just on a show the other night where, and I'm not knocking that person the other night, but he didn't want to say the hook because he says, hey, other people are copying my style, and it could be locally or whatever it might be.
Sure.
But Gary doesn't owe us anything, right? And the fact that he comes on here should speak volumes to the fact that he appreciates the jig making game. And it is about culture, and it is about vibe and who you are and how you do things. And SDG just said a little bit earlier, he's like, unfortunately, a lot of times people call things custom and put it out there and try and sell, and it really there's not a lot of quality to it, right?
Yeah.
And that becomes part of our job, is like jig makers or jig fishermen or fishermen in general, or business owners. In your case, Gary, because you're still a fisherman, right?
Yep,
and to decide, we vote with our wallet. You vote. An old friend used to say all the time, you vote with your wallet. If you like somebody's product, you vote with your wallet, and don't buy this stuff.
Yeah. And I'll say this about the $10 jig. I mean, if I'll weigh in for a second, I mean, I think at the end of the day, he's putting out a lot of content, and the people that are buying that jig probably just want to support Randy. Sure, it's a little overpriced, right? There's not much out there on the market like it, but so you are getting something unique if you're down with that old school living rubber. And if you watch his channel and you like what he does, support him. It's as simple as that. You don't have to hate it. Is it overpriced? Right. Probably, but buy it because you like what he's doing. And I think that's the game in this business, right? So, as Kuda said, support with your wallet, man. There it is.
So, and I know, guys, that it's the butt end of everyone's jokes, but I just Gary's another Midwestern guy like me. We're not too far from each other. We have similar philosophies, I think. The difference between me and Gary is he's a company, right? He's done his thing. And, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things like, that's what Jig Squad's all about. We want to talk making jigs. We want to talk why certain things are important. Look at our talk a little while ago. If you saw some of the comments in chat about of rubber, couple different philosophies, right? Perfect jigs, like, hey, square cut is going to move more water and everything. That's the way to go, right? Just depends on what you like. And I think that's the cool thing about all of it. Gary, let me ask you a question, because you kind of, it's almost as if I scripted this for you to say earlier that color was your most favorite thing when you're designing jigs, right? Mm-hmm. So color. So you're designing jigs. You have quite a few colors, right? But they cross over across the lines. Or your different style of jigs, whether it be a flipping jig, the Arky style, the football, the 3D eyes, you replicate your colors across the different patterns. Are there any patterns or any color combinations that are unique to one of the styles that you sell and aren't replicated across your line of jigs?
Not really.
That's good, dude.
That's still too custom. When we started this thing, it was to give me an edge. And these baits, our baits, people say, well, do you fish these baits? Every color that's on my website, and it don't matter what it is, I won money on it myself. And these baits, I can tell you, they're the highest of quality because I use them. And you guys are gonna laugh when I tell you this. I don't see as good as I used to, so I hit a lot of shit. I had to make these the most durable, because you don't want to go to one tournament and hit something and the damn paint come off of it. So, like Eric, I was telling Kuda, you can literally go out with that chatterbug and beat the hell out of the bridge pillar with it, and the paint won't come off.
Gary, I want you to make me a jig with a giant eye on it, man. Do that as your drill a damn do it mold out, or get the adjuster out, and then I want a big eye. I like a snooty jig, but a giant eye. I need a big eye jig, man, because I like big eyes. I got to tell you, I put big eyes on crankbaits. I like oversized eyes. I want that jig looking at that bass, that bass looking at that jig looking at that bass, and he just goes, "You looking at me, boy? Boom!" That's what I'm talking about.
That's what they say when Eric is throwing a jig. You looking at me, boy?
That's right.
He does. He pulls out that magnifier and he starts eyeballing them.
I go like this. Don't be eyeballing me, boy.
What's funny, you were talking about how everybody wants that that one bait that just catches everything. Sure. I don't want to break nobody's heart when I tell you, but there's no magic bait.
There isn't.
That's why.
Oh, well, that's very true. That's very true. Although I've seen some magic moments with new baits.
Magic moments.
Moments with new baits.
Why that moment was magical.
Well. We could go down a wormhole there, Gary. I could tell you some stories. You might not buy them. We won't. Not tonight. This is Jig Squad, man. That's for another stream.
I know.
And by the way, everybody on this stream has probably heard those stories 5 times, and I'll probably tell them another 50 times before I leave the planet on a stream. Fact.
We watch you and Eric. We watch you and Travis go at
Travis.
it. I got to tell you
that's funny.
Much respect to Travis for what he does on his show. I really enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. It is a fun show, man. There's no doubt about it.
Tonight, man. We could sit here all night and talk about old school baits. There's one for you. I don't know how.
Oh, look at that!
That's
man.
Dual-bladed inline buzzbait.
Dang, man! Look at that old school skirt too, man. Yellow head, yellow and blue. Man, don't sleep on black and yellow, man. Don't sleep on black and yellow. I gave Travis an old school buzzbait. It was the Chatterbuzz, and I had tuned it up. I rusted the rivet. I roughed up the wire. I widened the holes. Did a whole thing on how to tune up a buzzbait. And he's like, "Why are you giving this rusty buzzbait?" And I'm like, "Boy, it's brand new. The only thing rusted on is a rivet that I had soaking in salt solution that's steel, not stainless, so it'll squeal like a pig when you first throw it." He caught a 5 in practice on an area I showed him. He got 3rd place on that tournament. It was a black and yellow skirt, flat rubber. I want flow, and it was a 3/8 ounce buzzbait with a gold blade, man. But that is an old. It's as old school as you can get, black and yellow. Like you'd look at it and go, "What the hell's eating that?" Right? But they're bluegill, and it just flashes that yellow belly to me, right? You know, it's cute.
And on that note, let me just say that's why we started doing this, man. You with the flat rubber, you're getting a different flow, different action.
100%.
That's why we started this, was to do what you're talking about. It's all presentation. I mean, you picked up on the key ingredients on my swim jig. That's awesome. Not very many people do that with the weak guard and the hook point. And the reason I do that is so nothing gets snagged up in there. Yeah. Less snags. You lose less jigs like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, you got it correct, man. I love to see a correct jig build, and it shows me you were thinking about it. So you got quality components, the right flow, because Kuda is all about flow. He's the flow master.
I love it. I like it so much, I actually put it in the title of this damn adventure.
And the other day when I talked to him, I told him, now I have a lot of people that use my stuff all over the place. And I get pictures and messages from a lot of people. And I believe why our jigs are so successful has to do with the flow of the skirt material. I
could see that, dude.
100%.
I could see that. I don't know what it is. And Gary, I have to be honest. I typically, when I see other people's jigs, if I could always like critique, the first thing I would always critique is the amount of material. And it would always, not that there's a problem with it, it would always be a little more than I normally like, or a little less than I normally like. It would be one of those things. But for whatever reason, the first one that I picked up yours, and whatever reason why, I know that this 1/2 ounce Purple Fizz Arky, I know that it's got less material than some of the other ones, right? And I picked it up, I go, would you look at that Arky jig? Look at that. And it just, I like it. And you know, here's my comparison. And for anyone who's on Instagram, you're going to laugh because you're going to know what I'm talking about when I say this. So this is what I think of skirt material on jigs. It's kind of like when I go to a Mexican restaurant, and if they don't have good salsa, I'm not interested in the restaurant, right? It's kind of like the skirts on my jigs. And for anyone who sees all the posts on Instagram, and you see when all the spammers say, send the pic to whatever, I reply with tacos, salsa, enchiladas, tortas. I think of Mexican food more than jigs, I think. It might be true.
And I've seen a ton of good looking stuff on your feed, on your Instagram page, man. It's incredible at what some of these guys are doing with natural materials. And
oh my
they've
gosh,
spawned a few ideas coming out of us, and you look for the 9K hairball here soon.
The hairball. I love the name.
That's what we're calling it, the hairball.
The hairball. Eric, did you hear that?
I heard it.
The hairball.
I heard it.
I love it. See, this is why we do this.
Yeah, and it's something different, something that you don't see every day, and
nice.
It's coming, and it won't be very many colors right at first, but it's coming.
It doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
just make it black, man. Just make it black. We'll be good.
Black.
You only need one. It just if it looks like the color of this beanie.
I'm gonna tell you the funniest thing. I get a lot of people asking me, what color do I like the best? And I said, well, it depends. It really depends for me. It's whatever's most available in the boat at the time, whatever I got tied on, or whatever is laying on the floor, or something like that aspect. I said, if I had one lure to take anywhere in the world with me, it would be black. Black jig.
That's right, man. And by the way, works in clear water, muddy water, and then you can accent it with a trailer.
Works everywhere. I could probably catch a 5-pound bass in the mud puddle with a black jig.
No question, man.
That's a great comment right there. Gary, let me ask you something. So in chat, Adam Cawley says, what molds would you recommend if he wanted to get started making his own jigs? So Adam, I'm assuming this means your first mold, period. What would you say, Gare?
I'd probably tell him to do it mold 3DI jig, the poison tail. Definitely, because that's
funny because if you weren't on here tonight, I don't know if that would have been the first one I said. But now that you say that, it's so diverse because you could change. You can use a lot of different hook styles in that poison tail jig mold.
But even if you use the same straight shank mustad, I think it's the 866 or 886, whatever the number is. That jig is just so versatile. It's so versatile, and it's a swim jig just like the bullet head. But if you use the bullet head and rock, you're going to lose it.
Big
3DI head. The 3DI head jig comes through the rock a little bit better. It comes through the wood. It can be fished in the bushes. It can be swum. It can be hot. It can be stroked. Whatever you want to do with it, it's there. And that's the one that I recommend to almost all the anglers, the novice anglers, the intermediate anglers, the ones that don't have the knowledge yet. That's what I recommend to them most of the time.
I would agree with that, man. That's a great suggestion. And I want to show an oddity before the stream is over. It's a Kitech jig from Japan. You want me to show it now?
Yeah, show it.
Well, you can talk first, whatever order you want to go here, brother.
If anybody can guess what is the material of that skirt, and has anybody ever seen a jig tied with it? That's a Kitech jig, one of my favorite flipping jigs.
It looks like
compact.
String.
What the heck is that? And why did they make it? All right, so that's it. I'll show it real quick. I'm taking it away. I normally throw this Kitech jig, just regular silicone fine cut. But anyway, that's the same model jig, but two different skirts. What is that material and why did they tie it with it? I mean, I feel like I know what it is, but what do you guys think it is? And why did they do it? It's indestructible, by the way.
Yeah.
Why would they? It's kind of like it, but it's like a nylon. Yes, you guys
almost
are right,
like
nylon.
Almost like a very small size paracord almost. No, it can't be because paracord is just be.
Why would they do it's nylon? It's got to be nylon or polyester. So I'm not exactly sure, but it's twisted. But what, Gary, you're a jig maker. Why did they do that?
I have no
I
idea.
had to get it. I'm
They
like looking
just
at it
wanna
going,
be
it's like,
different.
I think it said in Japanese special edition. I'm going red and black. I like red and black, but I'm like, what is that stuff? It would hold
I
sand.
can tell you.
It has a lot of flow.
Kitech
Come
is
on,
from
man.
Japan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know everything that they buy from me over there is itty bitty, because they bought a bunch of 3/8-ounce chatterbugs. And they're loving it.
For sure. For sure.
Loving it.
Adam's funny, man. He says, my grandmother has a sweater in that color.
And
material. Well, Adam, here's the news. She donated her sweater, and the Kitech made it lots of jigs. That's cool, man. Like when you can make something out of like, I don't know, man, as jig tires and fly tires in particular. Gary got into fly tying deep, man, and I never saw the world the same way again.
Yeah, that's a great statement.
A dive down the rabbit hole. I tried to write an article for the Washington Post, their magazine, Sunday magazine edition. And I think my room's going to be in the, the pictures where they take something out or change something like second glance. Yeah,
sure.
The Bass Lab's already been in it once. I think it's going to be in it again. It might be the swim baits over there. Or it might be some lures on this table. Anyway, but I wrote an article about fly tires and how they see the world. I had some cat whiskers that would fall off my cat's, face. I didn't pull them, by the way. And I made stone flies out of them. I used the whisker for the tail of the stone fly. Caught a trout on that. I thought that was pretty cool. What else did I use? I don't know, man, like ribbons from packaging. Just everything became like, where can I find fly tying material cheap? The craft store, the yarn, Kuda. It's really cool. Anyway, man, jig tires and fly tires are always like hunting for something funky and weird, right? It's pretty cool.
Eric,
I love it.
Interesting enough on so I don't know how else to say it. People will see more of the whack job jig, the inchy wacky styled jig that I made a few days ago. I posted it.
Weighted wacky is what we call it.
A weighted wacky. Right. I posted a picture the other day.
Inchy wacky.
Stop inchy wacky.
Technique.
Inchy wacky.
But weighted wacky is what you're making.
So the jig I made the other day is using some materials that no one else is using. And it's like ice. It's very much like Senyo's laser dub, but it's also got micro rubber legs inside of it that hang off.
What?
They're probably about minimum 1/10 to 1/20th the size of a single strand of a silicone skirt.
That's crazy.
And they're all within the dubbing, and they all just hang out and just create extra flow in the water. I'm gonna sooner or later unveil the material on Jig Squad, but I'm gonna make a few more beforehand. And I'm going to unveil the material sooner or later. But if you look at the at Barracuda here, I'll put real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to send a pack down before you come on the show.
I will definitely send you multiple packs.
That was a joke, man. Before you come on your own show, Kuda, and show your whacked out jig, inspired by the Bass Lab weighted wacky jig, you will have to send a pack down before you gain entry to this show.
I will send it to you so you have an opportunity to see it as well.
Because it's going under the magnifier.
It has to.
With that kind of material, it begs for it. I'll do the magnifier and the light.
I'm going to send you some packs.
I'll do the light accessory just for that.
We will have to negotiate though, Eric, because we're going to have to negotiate. So I learn what that material is you have hanging off the back of your gobstopper. Or your little wacky, your drop shot.
Oh, that might never be revealed.
See?
That right there. Oh,
look at this. Just Eric, put the magnifier on that. I'd love to have you magnify that tail.
I know people are trying to guess, man.
I'm coming in close to identifying the material, by the way.
Are you going to try to enlarge me?
No, well, you're the one with the magnifier. You shall not do.
Make me big, and then they'll get a double good look at it.
I don't want to lose.
That looks really good, man. that. Look at the stitching on the Bass Lab hat. That's
This
pretty
is going to be
good,
great.
man. You talk about quality work on that Bass Lab beanie. Available now on Bass Lab, by the way.
Folks, this is why we have attentional concerns.
I know.
I need to
this
get
is true, man.
Oh, that looks great. Hey, where's Travis? He hates this so much, but I love it.
He does, man.
If he can, we should screenshot this for him.
Look at that, man. And by the way, on a
that would look really good in black.
Oh, black? You want it in black? Oh, well, don't look at that one. Ooh.
He doesn't want to show it then. He doesn't want to leave it still for too long.
The white and red head. Oh, with a little red thread on that. Sally Hansen hard as nails, coated.
Eric, did you dye?
Good. Huh?
Did you dye those tails?
No.
You bought them that color?
Maybe I did, and maybe I colored them up.
Hey Eric, does that look
familiar? I'm honing in on the material. What do we got going here? Let's see. What do we have? Yes.
Yes.
It's the enhanced bottle as well. It's the extra tough.
Dude, man, hard as nails will get you right, man.
How I seal my thread.
It is the jam.
So you thread wrap yours. So you're tying.
Yep, mine is all Danville Flymaster.
That's what I'm talking about. Do you have a rotary vise? Or you probably don't need one, because when you're really good, what do you got? I don't even know what it is.
Hold on, let's.
Can you blow it up?
Yep.
Right there.
Oh yeah. What is that, Gary? It's a rotary vise. Which brand? Which brand do you like? Oh, that's so cool. Dual tine.
I don't remember what brand this is.
Mine is a Renzetti, and it's a low end Renzetti, but I got to tell you, it changed my world, man. When I'm painting crankbaits or tying jigs or tying up the shaky jig worm or tying anything crazy, man, that's what I like. I like that rotary vise.
I'm using. What is it, Gary?
Atlas.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
Atlas.
Yeah, I'm using a Renzetti too. I love it. But I will tell you this: I have several vices, and for anyone out there that doesn't have a vice and you're interested in getting started, any vice you get is going to be sufficient for you, right?
And let me give you some advice. Don't go down the vice in the rabbit hole. And if you do, listen to Kuda. He'll get you square. Hey, listen, Do It has a really low end, great beginner vice. I think it was $19, Kuda.
They do. It's a great deal. And guys,
they sell enough jig tying material to get you started. Anything from the crystal flash you just saw that I had to skirting material. And they got a good selection, man.
So that's a good point that you said that, Eric, because when I came on last March of 2021, when I came on Smallmouth Crush with you and Eric, I had talked about that you could technically get started. So for anyone who's out there and you want to tie some of your own materials, right? But you don't have, let's say you don't have any molds and you don't have any jigs. There's a section on Do It's site where you can actually purchase some of the pre-made jigs, right? Unpainted. And you could do one of two things. You can either get the vinyl paint, which is the classic liquid paint that you would normally think paint to be. Right. Or you can get a jar or two of the powder paint, right. And you could buy the jigs, a couple of packs of skirt materials, or even some fly tying materials or marabou or anything you want, and a couple of thread bobber. What's it called? The thread. The
bobbin, the spools.
Couple spools of thread. The point is, for $30, you can get a couple of 5-packs of jigs and buy some materials and color, and you could get started playing around. Maybe if you buy the vice, for $50, you know. But the point is, you could do it pretty simply. And the thing is, you just need to get started, and you don't need to create crazy things. You could keep it simple. My recommendation for color when you start, ironically enough, is you can't go wrong with black, white, or green pumpkin, right?
Don't forget brown.
I don't even. You can take brown too. You can bring brown too.
You gotta have brown, man. You gotta have brown.
Keep it simple, and if you
green,
get started,
brown. My favorite Stanley jig, Gary, back in the day on the Potomac, before the Rusty Craw invasion, was a blue, like a Flippin blue and brown. That thing freaking caught me so many bass, and it had a bronze, like not like round bend. It's the Siwash or the O'Shaughnessy bend. I'm telling you, man, that O'Shaughnessy bend is talking to me again. Why? What's going on?
It's the hottest thing going in the Jig Squad world right now. O'Shaughnessy bends.
Thanks to Ben.
I know, right?
Yes,
and you guys may.
I have not run into him yet. He lives pretty close too.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff, guys. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm not trying. Whatever Jig Squad becomes is what it becomes. But I have posted things. There have been some gems that were posted. Brennan Chapman, I reposted an Instagram story, and it is saved in my Instagram stories. It might be. I'm not positive. If you look underneath like the somebody's profile, there's little windows that you can click on with saved stories in it. Brennan Chapman posted a picture of the Gamakatsu 111s, and he was doing something very unique with them, but it wasn't talked about. It was just in the story. So if you happen to go and find that story and you figure out what that unique thing was that he was doing, it's a phenomenal hook, guys. And that 111 is the real deal. We seem to, every show now, we seem to be talking about the O'Shaughnessy bend. This is the thing.
Well, what's the stinger? What's the stinger bend? Is that's not O'Shaughnessy, is it? Because
no, it's
let's pretend
it's like an in between. Do you have any in front of you? Mine are downstairs, Eric. It's in between.
That's it right there.
Yeah, still it's a little more rounded out than an O'Shaughnessy, but it still has that closed down section coming off the barb.
Like a big jig hook like that Gary could put in all his molds, man. I'd buy only Gary's jigs.
He has an adjuster.
Gary.
I may take a stab at that brown and flipping blue. That
dude, I'm telling you, it had the old rubber thing coming off the bottom that had like the rattle chamber in the rubber. So it was like this goofy thing that helped, it wasn't ideal, but I mean it just had one bead in it, and man, I caught so many freaking bass on that jig, and then they stopped making it. I like bought them out and they're all gone. I lost them all.
Hey, Gary, listen. So Horseshoe Tackle he's saying he thinks the stinger is a Sproat bend.
Look at us getting technical at Jig Squad, man, on Sproat, O'Shaughnessy, round. Gary,
these comments are almost too good for me.
Have you ever tried the owner deep throat hook in a jig? And what was your opinion of that hook? Did you like it?
I can't answer somebody talking like that to me.
This show is PG.
I've never used that hook. I don't think.
So, are you talking about that right there?
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's it.
I'm in love.
You see what that is?
Oh God, that's the stand-up head, brother.
It's like a brush jig.
You're damn right, that is. That's right dirty.
There. That's all right.
Dirty. I'm gonna tell you, if you guys haven't thrown that jig, when you pin a fish with that hook, they just don't get off. I don't know what to tell you. Gary, would you agree that thing holds? That's a bad mamma jamma.
That's what we call going down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole.
Why do you have to show me that one? Stand up. Yeah. I'd want that thing naked so I could throw a freaking big old Magnum trickworm on that thing and drag it across some ledges.
Yeah. You're gonna get a message from Eric, Gary.
Well, see now you start talking about cold water fishing. These younger guys, they I know Lurecraft just got merged with Lure Parts Online, but
yes,
back in the day,
I didn't know that.
When Poor Boys was doing the
Goby, the Erie Darter, the Erie Darter.
You put that on the back of that jig, and that thing just
we don't talk about the Erie Darter on this show, please.
It just does this. You don't even have to move the jig, and it waves to them, and it's so subtle. The only thing that I found works as good is a net, the TRD in cold water. Yeah. But you put that darter on the back of that jig with that hook on it and them smallmouth, They ain't going nowhere.
Gary, there was a long run. What was it? Was it the 2000s? The 2000s with that Erie Darter when it first came out? Man,
it's
man. Almost as if people have forgotten about it and stopped using it to the same
You're talking
extent.
you're talking about the Poor Boy, right? Erie
Darter. Poor Boy Erie Darter.
Do they still make it?
Yes.
They have a version of it, but it's not the original.
Why do they do that? Why do people do that? Like, why do people make a great bait and screw it up and stop making it? That doesn't make any sense.
There are molds out there. There's plastic molds out there close to it.
Mango Magic.
Stone.
That's the juice. All right, here's a question. Gary, jig fisherman, Kuda, jig fisherman. Do you believe two guys on a boat, group of smallmouth, nobody's got Panoptics looking at the better fish so they can take the first cast to it. You know there's a group of fish in front of you. You've seen the big boulder, right? Somebody's throwing a jig that smallmouth like, bigger profile, and somebody's throwing a Ned. Who gets the bigger bite on average? The jig fisherman or the Ned fisherman?
I'd say the
loaded
jig.
Question. I'd say the jig.
I'd say the jig.
I'm going.
Hold on. I'm just going through my wardrobe changes, Kuda. Sorry, I do this occasionally. It's getting hot.
You're like a runway model. This is like Jig Squad runway. This is
these are all available on the back.
Hold on. Let's just add to it. Hold on a minute. Let me just get it right here. Look at that. The Bass Lab. You could chase it. You could chase them down on Instagram, and then also, for those cruising the web, you can hit it right there.
Oh my God, I'm getting hot.
And if you miss it, and you need to copy and paste, and you can't get it off the screen, link below in the description below the video.
Gary, do you throw big crankbaits?
I do.
All right, this is a treat for the 56 people watching now. Haven't even posted it on Instagram. These sold out in 7 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it was, like as I was talking on Smallmouth Crush. This is the restocking, and Matthew Acevedo knows this because he missed it last time, and I hit him up with a DM earlier today. This is a Marty Burns custom build painted by TK Stanley. It is an old school ticker in here. Can't reveal how it's made, but there's nothing that sounds like it on the market. This is if you have bigger shad in your area, pre-spawn bite. I love it on Rip Wrap. This thing is super buoyant. Let's talk about buoyancy and backing out of cover and then secondary action. This is called the Epic Shad from the Bass Lab, and it is a big crankbait. This is a big crankbait, and it is like it floats like a cork. This is believe it or not, I sent the nail polish that I painted the original with. I cranked this down in Florida on shell bars, and I was doing a worming technique where I drag and stop and drag it on the shell, bouncing, and then when it stops, it backs out and it does this. And then I'd pull it and the fish would be right on it. Gary, it's kind of like you were saying, like, you know, you stroke your jig and then you go to like, and he's like on it, same kind of thing. So I've got it in a sexy shad and then the chartreuse sexy shad. There's only a handful of these on the site. These are expensive. These are handmade by Marty Burns, Big M. He's one of the few balsa guys in the country that are still making handmade crankbaits. So the dude's correct. This is his this is his ultimate shape, in my opinion, is the perfect shad shape, and it's got dynamite action. You'll get a big bite this spring if you throw it. So beautiful. Don't hate on me if you don't like the price. Not telling you to buy it. I'm just giving you guys a treat because they sold out so freaking fast last time. It surprised me. So anyway, thank you for letting me do a little moment of crankbait talk on the Jig Squad stream. We always have to talk crankbaits.
It's 99 and 1. It's almost all jigs and a little cranks.
Right. They got to do a little crank, man. A little crank here and there.
All right, listen, you guys. We awesome having Gary on tonight, and I think that in time we're gonna have to get Gary on because he talks about things like the hairball.
He's got to come back when he does the hairball.
We got a few new colors we're playing with too. I just got to get them dialed in. So we need spring to hurry up and get here.
We need spring to hurry up and get here,
dude.
Yes, man. I got a first color we've been playing with that is just gonna blow you guys out of the water.
And you think those are gonna be when would you say those are gonna be out, Gary?
Oh man, it's hard to say. It depends on the weather. I want to
see spring is your goal.
Yep, spring is my goal. The new perch color. Yep. We're just gonna go and call it golden perch. And it is gonna be absolutely sick. and it'll probably first come out in a spinnerbait, because when I started making lures, that's what I started with, was spinnerbaits. And let me tell you,
nice.
What is that guy's name down in Kentucky? Tommy Poe. I've been compared to
what?
Yeah.
What?
No, now I'm not saying no. I'm saying no, but people have compared me.
I'm saying that was one of my favorite spinnerbaits of all time. Little River Killer, man. He made a river rat special, like just.
He makes a fantastic spinnerbait.
That little quarter ounce, dude. Little haywire twist. Forget about it.
I had a couple people tell me I'm as good as him, and I want to say thank you, but no way, not a chance.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you collab with me to make a river rat special with your haywire twist? I know exactly what I want on the bait. I know what I want in the skirt, and I would love to market it with you together. People are begging me to do it because I hand tie my own skirts. I just don't want to do it. I'm not a production tire. I tie it for myself, and that's it. I'll buy other people's. If they'll do it like I want, I'll buy their baits. So I know the size blades. Yeah, all right, cool, man. I've been looking for somebody to do that with. That'd be great. We'll call it.
It's like a love connection. Like we'll be Chuck Woolery. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
I don't make our bend spinnerbaits.
No, that's what I want, man. I'm talking about that twist on my spinnerbait.
Awesome, dude.
I cannot find it.
Heavy wire, short leg, long leg.
It's going to be that. The river rat frickin' special, baby. Let's go.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Big fan of Uncle Frank. I watch him faithfully on the show there.
BTL, Fast Talk Live.
Yes, I do.
Nice.
He's the man, man. He's the man.
Yes, he is.
The guy has like when he was on with Smallmouth Crush, I was geeking out, man. I mean, I was geeking out. I could have talked to him all night. We talked the other day. It was really cool. We talked for about 30 minutes, and he's coming back on the stream. So hopefully there are good things coming with Uncle Frank and Smallmouth Crush and the Bass Lab. So yeah,
very cool.
Meet that guy in person. And
me too. He said, I'm going fishing with him. He said, come up anytime. I said, you guys, I said, I'd like to hire you. He goes, no, man, come up. I'll take you fishing anytime. I'm like,
that's cool.
I get to go fishing with Frank Scalish. I'm like, you're the master.
His knowledge base is next level. The things he talks about is just unreal.
Think about it. You know, Gary's got time behind the vise and time with a jig. And you hear it in the way he's talking about what he does and how he uses the jig. So we probably talked a little more about fishing tonight, but I think that's important when we're talking about jigs, color flow design, flow color design. You know, I can't get it right, Kuda. Sorry.
It doesn't matter because they all are equal sometimes, Eric.
All right, man. That's right. That's right. But it's really cool to hear Gary's perspectives and then to hear Frank's perspective. So it's not just about how we make the lures, why we make them, but where do we employ and how. And some of the creative things at the stream. I mean, the comments were great tonight. There's a lot of chat going on, guys sharing information. So Jig Squad, it's just awesome because you get to see great builders, but you get to hear why they did it and how they fish it. That's what turns me on, man. I like the builds, but I want to hear the stories, you know.
So many cool applications. And I mean, hey, and that seems like every week, it seems like we're getting more and more, a lot of regulars in the chat, right? But I mean,
for sure.
That's why having guys like Gary on are so fun. It's awesome. It gives new perspective. It brings us to a point of, you know, listening to other thinking. You know how many people have tagged me and on Instagram and said, "Hey, you know, you guys inspired me to start making something this or something that."
Awesome.
Yeah, hey, that's what this is all about. You know, Gary, it was awesome having you on tonight, buddy. I appreciate you a ton.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Yes.
Thank you for the baits too, man. Very generous.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
My number is on the website. Eric, give me a call and we'll collaborate, man. That'd be an honor.
Man, I got guys that want them here, and I'm not, you know, look, man, most of the time when I'm selling stuff that I have in my lab, I'm not making a ton of money. I'm doing it for the fun. I like to share what I do. You see me on Smallmouth Crush. I like to share the techniques. I like to share the baits, and I know people go out and get them. Great. I'm glad you do. I hope it works for you because, you know, the magic for me is trying new things, and it would be a turn on to like work with you to get the ultimate river rat spinnerbait. I know it's in my brain. I'd like to see it come to life, and I can't do it. So
I'm excited. I want to see this adventure.
Me too.
I love it all. I love the both of you.
You got the man with the skills. That's right. It's awesome.
Super geeked out, man.
It is. It's good
very
stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you've seen my fishing lure collection, you'd say, dude, you got a problem.
I know this well. We both. I think all bass fishermen are a little bit kooky in the head.
Oh yeah.
There's this
for sure.
The miss says, "We're buying more fishing stuff."
I know, it's crazy, man. It's that relentless pursuit. It's like when I go fishing. I mean, look, I'm not a Panoptics guy, and you know, I fish with a guy who's a master at it. Like, you know, he's one of the best around, right? It doesn't turn me on, and I know to compete it helps, right? And look, when I'm tournament fishing, I'm the non-boater, and I don't like standing on the front deck shoulder to shoulder with somebody fishing. I don't have my angles. If the guy's casting over my head, it makes me nervous. I sweep set. If I'm on this side, I'm going to sweep set into you, right? You know, so I just want my room in the back. I'll get my angles. I'll make my cast. I'll catch my fish. I just want to add a couple to the creel, right? 5 fish limit. But nonetheless, from a lure perspective and fishing to me is it's the eternal hope, right? That the next cast is going to produce that kicker in a tournament that changes your day, the fish of a lifetime, a PB, a potential state record. And so that's the magic of not knowing what's in that bush. If we could like open up the water and see what's in the bush, I think for me, it takes a little bit of the magic away. And I'm not downplaying people who use Panoptics and watch it, because I think that's cool too, man. I mean, there's nothing like watching a fish respond to your bait on Panoptics. But I prefer the magic of using my eyes, using the feel of my bait on the bottom to know what I'm coming over. That's why I like cranking so much, because I'm not specifically casting to a fish. I'm casting down a riprap bank. I've got my bank correct, right? You know, I'm hitting a big rock. I'm letting it stop. I'm pulling it. I'm worming it. I'm burning it. Whatever the fish are telling me that day on how they want the bait presented. But that's the magic of it, man. And the pursuit of a special lure, a jig color, the way it's tied, the flow, design, color of it, that might make a difference. The way you describe that Erie darter stand up, just floating in the current, that's what gets me searching. That's what gets me searching. You just talked about a moment, a bait jig combination, the head that you do, the stand up, right? And then the right trailer, and then with the bar, right? Exactly. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And the discussion here tonight, the sharing of the knowledge, and that pursuit that you might find something that nobody else found, and you go to work with it. And I found this one years ago, and I went to work and smashed the shit out of them. What's the next one? What's the next one? Is it going to come out of Gary at 9K Lures? Puffball, whatever, hairball, let's go. And Kudo with his whack out jig.
We are going for it. Guys, listen, Eric is going to go all night. He's like a top, and I love him.
I'm sorry, man.
No, you're all good, brother.
I know I went off again.
I love the energy is contagious, my man.
Dude, seriously, it's wintertime. I'm fucking losing my mind. I got it. I said the bad word. Oh, man, I was so good.
No, you're okay, buddy. You're okay. As long as we don't say a lot. All right, listen, guys. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. Gary, it was awesome having Gary, 9K Elite Lures. Check him out on Instagram as well as their webpage. It was an awesome show, guys. Next week, we have Evan Luda from Omerta Tackle coming on to join us. I'm excited to get Evan on. There's a lot of science behind his designs and why he builds things the way he does, and I'm excited to have Evan tell his story. But tonight, all the glory goes to my guy from Goshen, Indiana, Mr. 9K himself.
Thank you,
Gary Scheetz. Gary, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Hit that like, subscribe, and share.
Like, subscribe, and share. I never say this, and we have to do this, guys.
I got you, bro.
Guys, the goal is we want to keep sitting there and making Jig Squad bigger and better, right? So that means that we just got to keep doing our thing. You do your thing. Come hang out and chat or watch on replay. We appreciate you no matter what. And that's it. Jig Squad. We're out tonight, folks.
Right on, man. Tight lines, everybody.
Tight lines, everyone.
Later.
Nice.